You ask a simple question. They smile, and then they look away first. You feel it instantly. Something shifts, not enough to explain, but enough to stay with you all day. You've probably felt this before, in a conversation that seemed normal, in a moment that almost felt close, in an exchange that left you thinking, wait, what was that? Because when someone breaks eye contact too fast, your mind notices, even if your logic doesn't, even if the rest of the interaction looks polite, even if they say all the right words. And that is what makes it confusing. They did not reject you openly. They did not say anything wrong, but something in their face left the scene before their words did. Most people brush this off. They call it shyness, distraction, awkwardness, lack of confidence. Sometimes it is, but not always. Because people do not only look away when they feel weak, they also look away when they feel too much, too exposed, too interested, too conflicted, too aware of what almost got revealed. That reaction is not random. It is usually a small emotional leak, a moment where the inside and the outside stop matching. And once you start seeing that, a lot of human behavior makes more sense. There is a common myth that eye contact always means confidence, honesty, or attraction, and that looking away means the opposite. But human behavior is rarely that clean. Someone can hold eye contact because they want control. Someone can avoid eye contact because they feel vulnerable. Someone can look away not because they feel nothing, but because they feel nothing, but because they feel too much too fast. That is the part people miss. Eyes do not just show presence. They also show capacity. How much emotion a person can hold in a moment before they need distance. And distance is not always physical. Sometimes it is just half a second of looking away. You see this in everyday life more than you think. Maybe you tell someone something slightly personal. Nothing dramatic, just honest. And for a brief second, they meet your eyes, then look down, then answer in a lighter tone. That moment matters. Because the topic touched something real, and they moved away from the eye contact before they moved away from the feeling. Or maybe you catch someone looking at you when they think you are not paying attention. Then the second you notice, they look away first. A lot of people read that as disinterest, but often it means the opposite. It means the private moment became mutual, and now they have to manage the fact that they were seen seeing. Or maybe it happens in conflict. You ask a direct question, not aggressive, just clear. And the other person looks away before they answer. Not because they are automatically lying, but because your question created pressure, and eye contact under pressure can feel like exposure, especially when someone has not decided how honest they want to be. These moments look small from the outside, but psychologically they carry tension. Because eye contact is not just visual, it is social, it is emotional. When two people look at each other, they are not only exchanging information, they are managing closeness, power, safety, interest, threat, approval, shame, curiosity, desire, defensiveness. That is why the eyes change first, before the words do, before the body fully reacts, before the person has time to explain themselves, even to themselves. Looking away first can be a form of self-protection. Not dramatic self-protection, subtle self-protection, a quick attempt to lower intensity. Sometimes a person feels drawn in and wants to slow it down. Sometimes they feel emotionally out of sync with the moment. Sometimes they want connection, but not that much connection. Not yet, not there, not in a way that makes them visible. And that is where emotional mismatch begins. An emotional mismatch happens when one part of a person is engaged, but another part is resisting. They like the conversation but do not trust where it could lead. They feel seen but do not feel ready to be known. They want attention but not exposure. They want closeness but only in doses they can control, so they look away. Not because nothing happened, because too much happened in 1 second. And if you have ever replayed one of these moments in your mind, you already know how powerful that second can feel. You may have noticed that some people can talk for 10 minutes with almost no real eye contact at all. They are present, they are functioning, they are even friendly. But the second the conversation becomes emotionally accurate, their eyes leave. That is not a coincidence. That is the point where the social script ends and the real self starts getting involved. And not everyone knows how to stay there. This is especially true when someone is trying to appear unbothered. The more a person wants to look composed, casual, detached, or in control, the harder genuine eye contact can become when emotion enters the room. Because real eye contact is something uncomfortable. It removes the buffer. Words let people shape themselves. Facial expressions can be masked. Tone can be managed. But the eyes often reveal timing, and timing is hard to fake. That tiny delay before they answer, that quick glance away after you say something unexpectedly accurate, that break in eye contact right after a compliment, a challenge, or a vulnerable moment. Those are often signs that the person is regulating an internal reaction, not performing one, managing one. So what should you notice next time? First, notice when they look away, not just that they do. Timing tells you more than duration. Do they look away when the conversation becomes personal? When you ask something direct? When you hold the silence a little longer than usual? The moment of the break often reveals what the mind is trying to avoid, soften, or contain. Second, notice what happens right after. Do they change the subject? Laugh too quickly? Start talking faster? Touch their face? Look at their phone? Ask you a question instead? Looking away is often not the whole signal. It is the first signal. What follows shows whether they are escaping tension, hiding interest, reducing vulnerability, or trying to regain control. Third, notice the mismatch between their eyes and their words. This is where people reveal the most without meaning to. They may say, "It's fine," but their eyes leave before the sentence lands. They may act casual, but the eye contact breaks exactly when you get close to something real. When the verbal message says one thing and the eyes say something else, pay attention to the eyes. Not to become paranoid, not to overread every glance, but to become more accurate, because psychology is not about assuming the worst. It is about noticing what most people ignore. And one of the deepest mistakes we make in relationships, friendships, dating, work, and even family conversations is taking surface behavior at face value. We think the loud reaction is the real one, but very often the real reaction is quieter, faster, almost invisible. It happens in a glance, in a pause, in the moment someone cannot quite stay with your eyes. That does not mean they are lying. It does not mean they secretly like you. It does not mean every look away contains some hidden truth. But it often means something meaningful was activated, and that matters. Because the people around you are constantly telling you how safe, seen, conflicted, attracted, guarded, or overwhelmed they feel. Not only with what they say, but with what they cannot hold for long. Once you understand that, you stop chasing obvious signals. You start reading emotional patterns. You stop asking only, "What did they say?" and start asking, "What changed in them when the moment got real?" That question will teach you more about people than most advice ever will. If this made you see human behavior a little differently, that is exactly what Novi Mind is here for. To help you understand the signals most people miss, and to make sense of the moments that seem small but stay with you for a reason. Subscribe if you want more psychology that feels useful in real life, not just interesting in theory. And in the next video, we're looking at another subtle sign people show when they are hiding more emotion than they want you to see.